Hi, how are you this afternoon? I'd like to show you how I did these folded flowers for our Guild Challenge or our Guild Block of the Month thing by sewing machine instead of doing them by hand. So I've made a few different sizes. This is a larger one, and then there's a smaller one, and I figured out how to do it entirely on the sewing machine. So to begin with, I cut the square according to the pattern instructions. This one here is 4 inches. On it, on the back side, I drew the crosshairs so that I can press the corners in as directed. On the front, I added some more guidelines. I drew a line right down the center in both directions, and then I drew 2 more or 4 more lines halfway between the center and the edge. In this case, this was 2 inches, so I drew a line 1 inch from the edge all the way along. So now I have a grid. At that point, I went to my iron and I pressed these corners into the wrong side. Then I'm going to fold it diagonally, point to point. It ends up that this line is right over the line that shows on the back, and I'm on my sewing machine. I'm just going to sew along this line and along that line. So bear with me while I do that. So this is with, just so you get this straight, because I did one wrong. The points are out, not in. So points are out. And it was not fun to pick out my very secure sewing. It's very important that when you sew it, that here at the fold you really secure your stitch. At the bottom here it's not so important. So here we go. I have a fix on my machine, but I've disabled it, and I'm going to sew a few stitches backwards just to secure it, and then forwards. And at the bottom I'm just going to cut my thread. I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to now sew on this line. Same process, no fix. Few stitches backwards to secure it, and then forwards to the bottom, and then cut. To do the other two, I'm going to open this right out, fold it this way now, and you can see, maybe, I hope you can, these lines. There's one here, and there's one here. So I'm going to flip all the petals out of the way, make sure it's folded nicely on the point. This line is right over this line, and now I'm going to sew it. It doesn't matter what side you sew it from. Put it under your presser foot. Again, same process as before. Secure it very well at the fold, and then sew to the end and cut. Whoop, cut your thread. You got to push the right button. It works much better that way. And then the same thing at this other one that hasn't been stitched yet. So sew it. And that's all there is to it. This flower is now done. So now we can pull these little points out and finger press each one of these petals by sticking your finger or your thumb inside it and pulling the top toward you. Give it a bit of a press with the iron at this point, and now it's ready to insert into your block. Once you've got these things inserted, then you end up folding this little piece out and hand tacking it down. I'm thinking I might use the sewing machine for that too, but we'll see. I hope this makes sense. Let's make lots of flowers.